Hi everybody and welcome back to another review on the Nqanawe Life channel. Today we're going to be reviewing a film titled Mayfair. So Mayfair is about a son who returns back home after losing his job as an aid worker in Kenya. And when he arrives back home in Mayfair in Johannesburg, he finds that his father is actually facing death threats due to the nature of the business that his father deals within, which is basically money laundering and loan sharking amongst many other things. And then he finds himself having to slide back into the type of life that he had been trying to run away from in the beginning. That's how he actually ended up in Kenya, because he's trying to move away from the family business. Now, I know what you're thinking right now, and I don't want to necessarily compare this movie to another movie, but you can't help but notice the similarities. So I'll bring this up. You've heard this story before from Godfather. Michael Corleone comes back home, hasn't been wanting to deal with the family business because he's not that type of person. He wants to live and lead a straight life, but then certain circumstances when he's back home kind of force him and draw him back into that dark life. Basically, that is exactly the same story with Mayfair, not taking away from the film, but just to explain to you what that is about. And then what I really liked about this film is exactly that. So the story I just told you expands upon that in such a way that it grips you in and it just draws you in, how it bounces off of the relationship dynamics within the film, the family specifically, because it's heavily anchored within family and relationship dynamics within the family, from siblings to parents and children, and it revolves basically around that. And it's a very intimate film, and that's another thing I really liked about it. It shows us a side of South Africa and Johannesburg and a demographic of South Africa that we don't really always hear about, but they actually exist, and it's the Indian community and the underworld that they also operate within. So it was an interesting thing for me, and I learned a thing or two, which is, again, as you know, it is something I really appreciate when watching a movie, learning something. And what I really liked about this film is that, you've probably heard me say this, it felt like a movie. It didn't feel like a South African movie, and I mean this in a good, not a bad way, because most South African films have that oh, I'm watching a South African film, so I have to either lower my standards or expect something to go wrong, and it didn't feel like that. This movie, I was sitting there and I was like, okay, let's see what's gonna happen. And as I was watching, I was like, oh, this is it. This movie is it. It made me question myself many times that, is this the best South African movie of 2018? And I don't know, I don't want to give it away too early, but I think this might just be, as you guys know, Nqanawe for me is still the best South African film of 2018. But so far, after having seen this movie and another movie I watched that I'm still gonna post a review of, I'm kind of reconsidering the list, my top 5 or top 10 list, but I'll upload that later. Back to the movie. So it bounces off of those relationship dynamics, and obviously one thing leads to another, and it plays on the idea and the story of what would have happened if so and so didn't come back into the picture. You know, when there's a plan and the plan is in motion and everything is happening until one person comes into the plan unknowingly, but then the plan can't change. The plan still has to progress and carry on, but it reveals that at the end, and it gets you thinking. And that's why I really love this movie, because of that. The script works just perfectly. It works so well. It doesn't make you feel for one instance that you're like, why is this happening? This doesn't make sense, which is what I usually feel most of the time when I'm watching movies, and you're like, oh, I don't really get that. But in this movie, even if for a split second you start feeling or thinking that, you get the answer in the next scene or within the next second. And that's what I really loved about this film. And the performances is another thing I really liked about this film. The acting, it was very natural. Almost the entire cast was on point. You didn't feel like we're acting, you didn't feel like we're trying to do anything. anything here, with the exception of the character of Warren Masemola, in which the acting was perfect, but then he was playing a character of Somalian descent, and that means his accent had to be different. It wasn't bad, it wasn't cringeworthy, but for an actor of Warren Masemola's caliber, it could have been better. But basically, that's what I really liked about the movie, and I have a few things here and there, not much to be quite honest. This movie was very much on point, but I'm now going to move over and shift over to the things I didn't like about this movie. So yeah, alright, so when it comes to the things I didn't like about the movie, it's few of them, and they're mostly related, and they revolve around editing style or color grading and color manipulation. And it's exactly that, color grading. Especially from the beginning and up until the middle of the movie, it kept on being inconsistent and changing a lot. And one minute the movie had a green tint, a super green tint, and the next it looked more natural. On the next scene it looked more bronze and orange and green, or teal and orange, and then in other scenes it was like super saturated, and you're like, this doesn't look good. This is just small rookie mistakes that I feel like they were maybe trying to enhance the film, but they were not working. After that, the color grading inconsistency came. There was this blur effect they kept on using, and I can't to this point really get what was the point of using that. It would suddenly, there would be a shot or frame, but then it would be blurred out, like they intentionally just blurred out stuff for effect, I guess. It didn't make sense to me once again. So there were a lot of effects that were used there. They were kind of like, if you were trying to enhance the film, you ruined it by doing that. Not a lot, but you like kind of taking away from the film. Or if you were not trying to enhance the film, these are just rookie mistakes. And then the last thing which I really didn't like about the movie, once again still related to mostly visuals, was it had some pretty odd camera work, mostly camera movements that were just like, you could have done another take of that. Not because the performance is not good, the performance is perfect, but the camera operator, the DP, is sort of like, yeah, what's really happening with you right now, you understand? At first I thought it was usually intentional. There was some shaky cam there, I understood here and there, but in some cases it really looked like, okay, this person just needs to shoot that scene again, because it feels like you bumped on something, or you were still kind of adjusting and not sure where you wanted to actually, or how you wanted to frame or compose your frame. So it was mostly that. It kind of got annoying to a certain point for me, but once again, these rookie mistakes that I keep on talking about. Apart from that, I really enjoyed the film. Basically what I'm just saying about all of that is that the movie was awesome. Guys, next time get a better DP and get a better editor, and that's basically about it. But apart from that, I really enjoyed the film. Have you seen the movie? How did you feel about it? If you've seen it, please comment down below how you felt about it. If you haven't seen it, please go check it out and then come back. It came out I think a few days ago. Go check it out and then come back and comment down below. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share. The director of this film and also the producer of this film, and she also does the casting, is Sarah Blecher. I think I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Many thanks and well done to you. This is a lovely movie. Actually, I feel like 2018 female directors are actually doing an extremely good job. So yeah, women in film, more power. That's basically about it, guys. I'll see you on the next video.